too many 20s in there.
In the year, well, that's like 2020, 24 hours ago. I want to be
That's true.
sedated.
Great song.
Nowhere to go. I want to be sedated. Take me to
I do.
Take me to the show. Sorry.
I do want to be sedated. In fact, the last time I was sedated was a year ago today, Ted. Today. It's the anniversary of my double mastectomy. Thus, 1 year that I have been cancer-free. Yay!
Congratulations.
One year of no cancer, 1 year of new boobs, which I'm still adjusting to. One year of like a new
I can't even imagine having boobs to begin with.
Well, there you go. You might want to try them. All the men are doing them now.
That's what I hear. You're not. All the real men have big boobs. It's like, what kind of man are you if you don't have mammoth jugs?
All the dudes are getting breast implants now, Ted. Haven't you seen? That's what all the kids are doing.
No, it's true. No, I understand.
It's really true.
I know. It's like
if you guys don't know what you're tuned into, I'll warn you now. As you can see, it's a weird show. I'm Manila Chan, and that's Ted Rall. You are tuned into the Ted Manila Information Show, TMI Show for short. We bring you way too much information. Obviously, I opened today with my double mastectomy conversation and how Ted should get a boob job.
Yeah, the girls are getting deboobified, and the boys are getting boobified.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is so true.
Girls are getting deboobified like preemptively.
Very true.
Like, oh, I have my 23andMe came back, and so I'm like,
yes, or they do their
go.
Yeah, they do these the BRCA tests, BRCA 1 and 2 tests.
They should move them. You should literally be able. You should be like, there should be like male female like boob pairing. So like, when a woman's going through a mastectomy, her boobs are transferred over to the guy who wants boobs.
Well, I don't know what I mean. I don't know that you can transfer.
Oh, the cancer boobs.
Yeah, well.
No, there's
there are people that are doing that, like you said,
transfer lungs.
The
Why can't you transfer boobs? Lungs are far more complicated.
I know, but that's an actual organ. This is just soft tissue. It's breast tissue. It's mostly fat tissue, and it can get reabsorbed. There's glands, so I don't know that would work. I don't know,
I would like the government to spend billions of dollars to research this. I mean, it seems to me like this could be the new economy. Manufacturing's not coming back. Sorry, Trump. Yeah.
Breast transplants?
Yeah, basically we're just going to move all the boobs from America's women have been hawking the boobs for 250 years. It's the man's turn to have the boobs. Let's move them all over to the male half of the population.
I would argue that plenty of American men are doing great on their own of developing their own man boobs.
That's true. That is true.
Plenty.
Yeah.
Plenty. I would like to see a survey on that.
But still, what about moob equity?
Western males. It's a lot. I wrote an article about moobs. It's literally, I titled it Moobs, like 17 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Moobs. And you guys need to stay away. Sorry, men. You guys need to stay away from beer. Something about, I don't know.
That's true.
Hops. Beer, something in beer. There's a certain
there's
chemical
some hormone
compound
or
in
something
beer.
in there. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And stay away from soy products. So, the whole conversation about like these snowflake soy boy, whatever guys like Joe Rogan that are like, like 60 and fit as hell. I bet Joe
Rogan has moobs. He looks like a moob type person.
No, are you crazy?
Well, we haven't seen him topless, have we?
Yeah, we have many, many, many times. He's all the time. Yeah. Joe Rogan is like fitter. Are you kidding? Joe Rogan is in tip-top amazing shape. Okay. He puts it on his social media. He's always topless. He's always topless doing like cold plunges. And he's talked about it too on his show about how soy is actually really bad for males. And it really does create boobs because it's estrogenic.
Yeah. It turns you into a girl.
soy really is estrogenic. So there you go. Anyway, there's your morning boob talk. You wanted male and female boobs. We do this every day, Ted, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So if you guys want to hear about weird, like, news you can use like that, like don't drink soy if you don't want man tits. That's what we do here. As long as you tune in, we'll be able to continue to grow the show. So tune in, hit the like button, follow, subscribe, thumbs up, and share. I think I got all of them. So on today's show, the first topic we're going to bring up is the big military parade that Donald Trump was like angrily tweeting about. I wonder, Ted, if that was just like Donald Trump being salty at Beijing that maybe he didn't get an invite. Do you think that's like he had FOMO? So he's like tweeting about not being.
Always has. That dude has FOMO about everything. I mean, if there's something going on, it's at the top of the news. You know, I swear to God, if the FBI caught a guy who serial killed 75 people, he'd be like, "Why aren't they talking about me?" Like, you know, I mean, it's just like you don't want to be talked about here, but yeah.
I really think because he looked at the photos on TV and there was like Vladimir Putin, Xi Jinping, Kim Jong Un, just other world leaders at this Chinese military parade. I think he had serious FOMO and he was like hate tweeting. I honestly think that was it.
Well, let's get to it. Let's get to it.
So we'll do that. And of course, our in-house historian, producer Robbie's going to weigh in because he knows everything about history. Then we'll talk about how Donald Trump, because he had FOMO, Ted, I personally think this is why this happened. Trump was pissed about not being invited to the party in Beijing. And so he decided to take it out on a random boat in the Atlantic and like blow up.
It's actually terrifying.
Blow up like a dozen people.
Yeah, without any
because he was pissed
that they did anything wrong. Okay, and then
that's kind of scary. That's pretty scary for somebody that has that kind of power. If they have FOMO, watch out. And then we'll talk about some magic mushrooms. A lot more studies being done on shrooming. I have my own thoughts on that. It's not for me. And lastly, Ted, I put this in there for you, and I know you'll always love to look for new books, right? I haven't read it, but I thought this was an interesting one. It's a little bit of a history book, but about the history of privacy relative to how we don't have it anymore in our society and what that actually means for
and how this
us
is
as individuals.
Long-standing issue. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was like an interesting cultural perspective. Maybe a book I will get to after I finish the pile of books in my back. But yeah, so that it'll be a mishmash show today. So sit tight. Let's hop to it. Jaws.
So,
all right. First things first. I get to do this one. I get to do FOMO.
Do this one. What? Just because you're Asian?
I'm doing FOMO. Yeah, it makes more sense.
Racist.
It's It's like staying in your lane, Ted. If we're gonna do a France story, I would obviously let you do it.
D'accord.
Obviously.
Fuzzy.
See? Okay. So, as Beijing staged its largest ever military parade, to mark the 80th anniversary of Japan's World War II surrender, President Trump took to social media to accuse China, Russia, and North Korea of plotting against the United States. His message, written as Presidents Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin, standing alongside Kim Jong Un at this event, wished the Chinese people well, while charging that the leaders were conspiring against America. He tweeted this out. He said, or truthed, he said, quote, "May President Xi and the wonderful people of China have a great and lasting day of celebration. Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong Un as you conspire against the United States of America." Trump's post also highlighted the role that the U.S. played in aiding China during World War II, reminding followers of the, quote, blood and sacrifice of American soldiers who helped secure China's independence. He urged that those sacrifices not be forgotten amid these celebrations. From Tiananmen Gate, President Xi hailed the Chinese People's Liberation Army as a heroic force and declared China a strong and independent nation that does not fear violence. His speech emphasized unity in the face of historical struggles, framing China's wartime resistance as a triumph for justice and survival. Moscow quickly rejected Trump's remarks, though. Yuri Ushakov, a senior aide to President Putin, dismissed the idea of any conspiracy, calling the allegation baseless. Meanwhile, Putin and Kim met privately after the parade. Putin thanked North Korea for sending troops to fight Ukrainian incursions in Russia's Kursk region, praising their valiant sacrifices. Kim Jong Un, meanwhile, reaffirmed his country's commitment to aid Moscow, calling it, quote, a fraternal duty. The two leaders embraced, with Putin then inviting Kim to visit Russia again. So obviously, Ted, all kinds of FOMO, right? From POTUS, like all kinds of FOMO. I'm going to put on
historical FOMO from President Xi, whose country wasn't really invited to the World War II party as much as they were just one of the main courses. So let's have a little history lesson here, shall we? Right. So in 1911, the last emperor of China is deposed. I recommend the Bertolucci film. Go watch that. By the 1920s, warlordism and civil war set into China. And basically from the 20s, 30s, and 40s were marked by these divisions, primarily between the Chinese communists led by Mao Zedong, based in the western part of the country, and the Chinese Nationalist Party, recognized by the international community, but basically weak and hapless in the face of and ruling in the East. They are and they were led by Generalissimo Chiang Kai-shek.
I thought Japan launched its invasion in 1937 into China.
So the Japanese invaded basically a lot of eastern China, where most of the population lives, and occupied most of it brutally throughout World War II, from the mid 30s through to the mid 40s. And so the thing is that the fighting in World War II in China didn't really involve the communists, who are now in charge of the communists came to power in 1949 when the Chinese Revolution was concluded. That's the government that's currently in Beijing. Now, make no mistake, China is a proud and powerful and important country on the world stage. And it was during World War II. But during World War II, it was completely on its knees. And it had been for the better part of 200 years. Ever since, during the 19th century, the great imperial powers like the U.S., France, Britain, carved up the Chinese melon and basically occupied it and subjected them to the Opium Wars and so on. So basically, China had been a fucking disaster for 150 years, I think it would be safe to say.
And the Japanese got a nice chunk of it too in the Sino Wars.
They did. That's right. So basically, China starts. The government that's there in 1949 doesn't really bear any responsibility for what went wrong. They were just trying to overthrow the nationalists. The nationalists, whose duty it was to fight the Japanese invaders, couldn't fucking be bothered because they were too busy grifting and emolumenting and stealing from the people. They were so insanely corrupt. And they didn't really care that much about the Japanese, and they were more worried about losing their privileges and their power to the communists, as Chiang Kai-shek famously said. The Japanese are a cold, and the communists are a cancer. They viewed the communists as the existential threat, not the Japanese. The people of China begged to differ, and the Chinese won a lot of hearts and minds by being more willing to take on the communists than the actual internationally recognized government of the nationalists. The nationalists were defeated ultimately in the Civil War, fled to Taiwan in 1949 with the help of U.S. forces, overthrew the indigenous Taiwanese government that was democratically elected and had been there since 1945, killed all the intellectuals and liberal politicians who were there, and established a dictatorship under the nationalist Chiang Kai-shek that lasted until his death in the 80s, and then they transitioned to democracy after he died. The point is that the communists have no claim on victory in World War II. They weren't really part of it. As for the nationalists, well, they're on Taiwan, and they don't have any glory either. They were supplied by the U.S., and to the extent that they were able to hold their own at all, it was completely because the U.S. propped them up. And the fact that China even has a permanent seat on the UN Security Council is because of the United States. FDR insisted upon it, even though the fact that China had been brutally treated and defeated during World War II. But he thought, historically speaking, China will come back. That turned out to be true. So, I mean, the point is, what this is really about, besides this historical revisionism, is really about trying to suck the air out of Taiwan. That's what this is about.
You think that's what this parade was? Less of, I mean, I still personally think, it's a little bit of a little under the guise of the 80th anniversary of World War II, but mostly as a flex on the U.S.
I agree with Manila on that. I think that what this isn't so much about Taiwan. And Trump is right in a way. There's no plot, there's no conspiracy. This is China showing the United States specifically, and probably a shot across the bow to Japan, since they're trying to rearm. This is not the century of humiliation. If you walk in here, this is not going to be 1900 again. This is if you want to fight, we'll fight you. And this time we'll crush you.
I think that's true too. I just think the Taiwan thing is probably closer and nearer and dearer to Xi's heart. But I think that the United States is the message that China is trying to send is, we will talk to the U.S., but we also have new buddies. We're friends with all sorts of people now. We didn't used to get along with India. Now we get along with India. We even had a war with them. We're good. We used to we had wars with Russia all the time. We're good. We're friends now. We're making friends all over.
I think it's a flex of
they don't irritate us anymore.
It's a flex of the global South. I think that's what this parade was. And honestly, I'm not sure if Donald
Trump. Many global South members there, but okay.
Well, no, that's what's considered the global South, is everybody that's not the West. That's just broadly what they consider the global South. So all the Asians, all them Asian people, all them brown people, all them black people, them's is all the global South. Basically, anybody that doesn't look like you and Robbie is considered the global South. The people that look like me
pretty
considered
southern,
the global
though.
South.
I'm more southern than Russia.
But they're
Eastern.
Eastern.
I don't think that's true. That's not what the global South is. Okay. Well, let's not get bogged down in definition.
That's how this is like what they consider.
Global South is by definition under the equator.
You would think, yes, by literal, but that's not how it's taken. The people in the global South are mostly a lot of members in the BRICS countries. A lot of the people that are in BRICS, and Russia is obviously a lot of people that look like you, but also a lot of people that look like me.
By the way, this had to be really hard Look, the biggest victor, the country that deserves the most glory for World War II is, of course, the Soviet Union, who lost 30 million people fighting the Nazis. And they're the most responsible. I mean, if not for, look, the Nazis would have been defeated by the Russians without the U.S., even if the U.S. had never gotten involved. We were helpful, but, we closed the deal. But by 1950, Hitler would not have been alive.
Remember, the dude that planted the Soviet flag on the Reichstag looked like me.
Right.
He was, he literally climbed atop, and planted the Soviet flag.
It's an amazing picture too. Although, he looked just like Iwo Jima, they had to restage it apparently.
They had to restage.
Yeah, they did. It's like a guy went up and did it.
For a photo op?
And then it was like, oh fuck, that'll be a photo. Like, hey, come back up here. Let's
we
do
need
this
a photo
again.
op.
Yeah, Iwo Jima was like that too. But, that's just what happens because photography was slow back then. People didn't have phones. Anyway, the point is, it's like this is, if I'm Russia, I'm pissed at this. I'm sure because it's like, I'm sure it's like, well, we're friends. I won't say anything about this. But this is like when
you're saying like China's trying to claim too much glory? Like too much stolen valor?
It's like President Xi is like, it's stolen valor. It's sort of like President Xi's like, hey, Vladimir, we did it together. We kicked their ass. I mean, it was like when my I shouldn't say this, but I'll just say it. Like when my kid graduated from high school and my ex-wife turns to me and goes, we did it. I'm like, who's this we? Who's we? I don't know any we. Like, it's like, so this is exactly like, who's we? Vladimir's
we
thinking,
because you guys
like,
were
who's
divorced?
we? Like, who? We won we won World War II together? No, there's no we. Like, my people won World War II pretty much on our own, okay? And with a little help from the U.S., late to every war, as usual.
The only reason that China did not completely implode was because of General Stilwell. And he's one of the most unsung heroes of American history.
Nobody even knows who he is.
No, you could ask 1,000 Americans, hey, who's General Stilwell? 998 of them wouldn't have a clue. And then the two that would, they would Google the name.
Yeah, well, you're looking at two of them right here.
Yeah, I know. But we're the only two. And I mean.
So you should explain who is Stilwell.
Okay. So General Stilwell, he was a American general. And long story short, after the United States got involved and the Chinese were getting crushed, he insisted, and I use that word deliberately, he insisted that he be given 3 Chinese armies because he was so disgusted. Sorry, my cat is trying to sabotage everything. This is Fernie, and he got up here on my desk and is just trying to wreck everything. Anyway, go away, cat.
Pick her up. Pick her up.
Come here, cat.
She doesn't like her name. That's why she's doing that.
Yeah, whatever. Fernie?
Fernie. Yeah, this is Fernie.
Terrible name.
It's
terrible name.
It's the name of my
too
daughter.
Good looking for that name.
Well,
I know it came with the cat, but still, you should.
Yeah, the cat can be renamed, by law.
Well, it can be because evidently cats never learn their names. But anyway,
no, that's not true.
That's not true.
Studies have shown that we've talked about it here on the TMI show. There's been studies that show that they do know their names.
Yeah.
They just don't care.
Yeah,
right, that's the difference.
This one doesn't care. Anyway, General Stilwell, what he did is that he insisted to Roosevelt and Shanghai Shek. So listen, if we are funding this, if we are building this army, then I want 3 of them with and I'm going to train their officers. And long story short, this man took 3 armies of just illiterate peasants, built them into an actual working fighting force. And he called Chiang Kai-shek affectionately Peanut because he completely hated him. And Chiang Kai-shek was concerned that Stilwell was going to overthrow him and become the American emperor of China because he could have done it.
He was never going to do that, though.
No, he was never going to.
Never the intent.
Well, no, but what he wanted to do is that he wanted to kill Japanese. And he was going to use the Chinese to do it because he had been he first gone to China during the Boxer Rebellion. His whole career had been built in the East, and he had a great love and affinity for the Chinese people, but he hated their government. And so
you should tell the story about the evacuation via over the mountains from Burma. I mean, that's kind of amazing. Where he basically had to lead a bunch of Westerners, Western families, as in the head of the Japanese advance. They had to flee because they were going to be captured and possibly killed, or certainly sent to POW.
Well, because didn't
the
Japanese at that point that the U.S. and China had to go into Burma. At that point, didn't the Japanese start occupying Laos and Burma and parts of Burma at that point?
That's right.
Yeah, so they took it all.
They took
the Japanese actually pressed into
Southeast
India.
Asia. Yeah,
the Japanese had pushed into India, and it was just like, and the only reason that India did not just implode and China didn't just disintegrate was because of General Stilwell, and that's typical for stellar American generals. His thanks that he got was being dismissed.
I think with the benefit of hindsight, India would have been too much to chew for the Japanese.
Big, yeah.
No, because you got to remember there's a big the British were all but fighting a rebellion there because the Japanese were promising India independence.
Yeah, they were tied down. Not to mention they were tied down at home with the Blitz.
Yeah, and a lot of Indians actually defected and joined the Japanese, which is something else that people don't understand.
Wow.
Americans don't know the history.
That.
But Stilwell had to evacuate them, and he gave a famous speech where he basically knew there weren't enough rations, and he's like, listen, there's not going to be enough food for everybody, but so I'm going to keep track. I'm going to keep track of everything, and I'm going to, and there's going to be discipline and order, and I'm going to walk you out of here.
Yep.
And by the time we're done here, you are going to hate my guts, but you will be alive.
Yeah, that's why they called him Vinegar Joe. And if he caught anyone stealing food, he had them shot on the spot. He's
Good
like,
for him.
You get your brains blown out. You're done. And
Wow.
so, I mean,
he was right.
So, I mean, oh yeah. Well, I mean,
You can't,
basically,
in a situation like that, it's existential. You can't let anyone do that.
yeah, because the armies that he inherited were mobs. They weren't trained. They weren't soldiers at all. They were peasants, most of which had never even held a rifle.
Oh.
And so what this man did is that he went through, found the most competent, bring them up to the officer corps, and he instilled actually like Roman style
esprit de corps and all that.
army.
So how was he able? I got a question about that. Why didn't the U.S. employ the Stilwell style of training militaries when we took over Afghanistan and sat there for 20 years? Because their dudes were like taking off their uniforms and running for the hills. Like, why? How come they couldn't do that?
Well, first of all, we weren't in command of those people, of the Afghan National Army, right? I mean, the Afghan National Army was basically run by the Karzai and then the Ghani regime. And basically, they were corrupt as shit. Basically, the U.S. was sending billions of dollars in cash and weapons to Karzai and his cronies. They were stealing it all. And then instead of giving it to the army. So the guys in the army they're not being paid. They don't have the good weapons. Manila, you ever see that movie War Dogs with with Jonah Hill? Anyway,
oh, yes.
Okay, great movie. Anyway, that's a true story. That actually happened. And the thing is, and one of the main episodes and the way that they got caught was sending subpar, shitty ammunition to the Afghan army. Now, if the Afghans know anything, they know about guns and ammunition. And
Sure.
they were like, this is garbage, old crappy Soviet ordnance that you're sending us. And that's how they ultimately got busted. But the point is, they were getting shitty guns, shitty bullets, no cash.
The equipment.
And they weren't, so training would not have been enough. I mean, the corruption of like Stilwell was a lot of things, but he wasn't corrupt.
No, he wasn't.
Well, then apparently he shot people
anything.
for stealing food. So.
Right.
Well,
so he was the enemy of corruption. So like if the Afghan National Army had been well equipped, well paid, they would have been and well trained. They would have been loyal, but they were none of those things.
Let's face it. Hamid Karzai was stealing money to make mink hats.
And also, you got to remember, I mean, it was a civil war. I mean, the Japanese.
That's fact.
Here in the West, we always look at Nazi Germany, Nazi bad, Nazis and all these things. I submit to you, the Japanese made the Nazis look like choir children.
That's true.
Because they were so brutal. Like they would take pregnant women, they would cut their bellies open, pull the baby out, and bayonet it. I mean, the Japanese were sadistic. The Germans were evil. The Japanese though took it to a whole other art.
And
they were sadistic.
My boss told me that his father was a veteran of the occupation of China, and the rape of Nanjing, and he said that he talked about how they would throw Chinese babies up in the air and have them land on their bayonets just for entertainment.
Yeah.
This was something that they used to joke about.
They would have contests.
Incredibly cruel.
The Japanese had contests where actually published in newspapers. You can look this up. Fact check me. I dare you. Fact check me. They have beheading contests.
Yeah.
How many Chinese could you behead with a sword in 15 minutes? And whoever would win would go on leave. The Japanese, they regarded the Chinese as subhuman, as dogs.
True.
The Japanese called them gooks. That's where the word comes from.
The rape of Nanjing is, of course,
sadistic.
You know the name,
it's the forgotten
but
Holocaust.
it's literally what it means. So literally over the course of a very short time, the whole population was systematically raped and murdered. All the women were basically raped and murdered in the streets systematically by the thousands. And then their husbands were forced to watch and then tortured and executed by the thousands.
Yeah, I heard that.
By the tens of thousands. Now,
Ted,
the thing is,
John
the
Ray
woman who
was,
wrote
don't you?
the book about this is Amy Chang is her name. The Rape of Nanking, it's really an essential read for historians. Anyway, the point is, she was so haunted by the research that she conducted in terms of interviews and in the historical archives that she committed suicide.
It broke
Oh
her.
God!
And she actually
didn't want it because she didn't think that human beings and the fact that the people did it and that the world never cared and that no one was ever held accountable. There's never been a trial of anyone in Japan who had anything to do with this.
Japan got a pass.
They got a pass. It was no problem. Yeah, we're buddies now. And this is one thing the Chinese are.
There are lapdogs
is
now.
Implying, right? Like sort of about the history of World War II is like, oh, like look at you guys. You U.S., you're Americans. You're friends with the Germans and the Japanese, and you're not friends with us. You should have been friends with us. That's part of the lesson too. And the Japanese did get a pass. And so like the fact that nobody ever cared drove Amy Chang to her death.
Yeah, it was absolutely horrible. And and again, I mean, people here in the United States, we don't know our history. And it's one of the saddest things ever. Germany has been on its knees prostrate for the last 80 years begging for forgiveness.
Yep.
Japan has never apologized.
No,
the Japanese
all their history books are full of revisionism.
No, they Japan, they don't teach about Pearl Harbor.
Right.
They teach the Japanese teach that they call it the Great Pacific War. They teach they were trying to free Asia from European colonialism and build the great co-prosperity sphere.
Correct.
Which is a complete and fucking joke. The Japanese made the Nazis look like school kids.
Obviously the difference is that the Japanese had different methods. They didn't have systemic industrialized genocide the way that the Nazis did.
Well, if you're going through spreading plague,
the effect was the same. Yeah.
Sure.
You end up just as dead either way.
Well, we always hear about the 6 million Jews who got killed. Okay, great, whatever. What about the 40 million Chinese who got butchered? Which of those two numbers is bigger? And why is it that we never hear about that?
Yeah, and this wasn't in war. Like this is sort of it's war the way that the Gaza war is a war. It's not a war. Yeah. It's an army against a civilian population.
According to ChatGPT, somewhere they don't even know the exact even GPT doesn't know the exact number. It estimates somewhere between 10 to 20 million Chinese civilians were killed, and then 3 to 4 million soldiers were killed during the span of World War II. So we're talking
to me.
That number's way too low.
You think that's conservative?
Oh yeah.
20 million people?
Well, look, I mean, why not? There were 30 million Soviets killed by the Nazis. I mean, and China has a far bigger population, and the occupation lasted a lot longer.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, that's true.
The Japanese wars.
But the thing is with the Chinese culture, it's not a culture of victimhood, right? It's a prideful. I mean, I'm part Chinese. Like that's part of the culture. No one ever apologizes. No one ever asks for apologies or forgiveness, and that's just kind of part of the culture, right? So
it's not part of
even
Japanese,
if you lost
in Japanese culture, is definitely apologies are a big part of their rituals. And let me just say,
not in Chinese culture. Not with us,
we're talking about the Japanese. The Chinese don't owe any apologies to anyone.
No. What I'm saying is
the Japanese do, and so the point is, and they know all about apologies.
That's not what I'm saying.
The Chinese have every right to be like, "Hey, apology people."
I'm saying victimhood.
Why aren't you being apologizing to me?
Well, saying with victimhood, in regards to victimhood, like we see that's so popular here in the United States.
The Chinese are resentful of the Japanese.
The Chinese. You're not going to get Chinese people. You're not going to get Chinese people that say, "Oh, look, woe is us! Look, 30 million of our civilians were slaughtered during World War II." They're never going to say that.
They have said it. They've talked about it.
No, they're not.
It's not a popular culture
and diplomatically,
thing.
the Chinese have requested.
But it's not as a people.
From the.
It's not like here, like in the U.S., where you're like, "Oh, I'm some part of minority group, and so I'm a victim. I'm intersectional. You need to make special rules for me, special laws for me." The Chinese culture isn't like that.
The Chinese aren't whinging, but they are definitely. They want the apology. They definitely do.
Yeah, but they're not going to go begging for it, and they're not going to play victim. That's the thing. That's my point. Is they're not going to go around going, "What? Victim, victim, victim. Like you should feel sorry for me." They don't.
Well, it's not about feeling sorry. I mean, that's the whole point of this military parade. You know how Israel says never again.
It's like that.
This is China saying never again. And the former prime minister of Japan, I can't remember which one it was, when he went to the Yasukuni Shrine there in Tokyo, The reason why it was such a insult and such an international incident is that is the one shrine where all Japanese war dead are honored, including Tojo, including Yamashita and all these people who were butchers by any stretch of the word.
It's equivalent to when Reagan visited the Bitburg cemetery where the SS were buried. It's like that.
Yeah,
it was. It's
all right.
That's
why the
Chinese went off.
We got to move on. We got to move on. But that's definitely what this parade was about. I think more than anything was ultimately it was a flex. It was a flex.
But I mean, I do think the Taiwan thing is not to be underestimated. I mean, they're still flying the nationalist flag. They still have Chiang Kai-shek's car in the main square in Taipei. It's like the KMT, which in my opinion should have been banned after the death of Chiang Kai-shek, is still the ruling party although there is another party and they have a democracy there in Taiwan. So, I mean, basically, if you go past the Taiwanese, they call it the Taiwanese Coordination Council or something like that because they don't have embassies here. But like if you go past any Taiwanese building here, like in Chinatown, in New York or anywhere else, you'll see the KMT flag, the nationalist flag, not the communist Chinese flag, the flag of mainland China. So it's like so this is also kind of a way of trying to say, well, to the extent that any Chinese faction can claim victory in World War II, that would sort of be the nationalists, but the Chinese are we're going to take that.
This flex is definitely to say you guys might have been able to fuck with us, 80 years ago, but you ain't able to fuck with us now.
No,
that's what this is.
One thing I'll say before I go away, because I know we're going long. Seriously, for those of you who are interested, who like history, pick up some books on General Joe Stilwell. The dude was a military genius, and no one knows who he is. The guy was a monster.
Also, read The Rape of Nanking. You'll never think of Japan the same way.
Iris Chang was the author.
Iris, that's right, not Amy. All right.
Let's move on. Thanks, Robbie.
All right. President Trump announced Tuesday that U.S. forces carried out a bombing strike against what was supposedly a drug-filled speedboat in international waters, killing 11 people he described as terrorists from Venezuela's Tren de Aragua cartel. He framed the action as part of a broad campaign to stop fentanyl and other drugs from coming into the U.S., but there's no evidence whatsoever that what he said is true. A video shared on Truth Social shows a vessel racing across the sea before getting blown up in an explosion. According to a senior U.S. official, the attack was launched by special operations aircraft, possibly a drone or attack chopper, after weeks of surveillance tracking cartel maritime activity. Unlike traditional drug interdictions, which typically involve seizures and arrests, this bombing represents a sharp escalation, signaling more direct military action. The operation is part of a wide U.S. naval buildup in the Caribbean with warships, marines, submarines, and surveillance planes stated near Venezuela. What? No cats? The Secretary of State Marco Rubio declared the administration's intent to eradicate these drug cartels no matter where they're operating, though he noted the targeted boat was probably bound for Trinidad or somewhere else in the Caribbean. Tensions with Caracas have surged since Trump signed a classified directive authorizing force against Latin American cartels that he calls terrorists. His administration also labeled the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, a cartel leader. Again, not only is there no evidence of this, it's almost certainly not true, accusing his government of turning his nation into a narco-state. Also not true. U.S. prosecutors previously indicted Maduro and top officials, alleging a decades-long conspiracy with Colombia's FARC rebels, which, by the way, don't exist anymore, to traffic cocaine into the United States. This reminds me so much of what they did to Manuel Noriega of Panama.
Yeah.
Maduro has dismissed the charges as fabricated, because they are, and warned that he would mobilize millions of militia members to defend Venezuela against any American incursions. I don't think that'll do much good. Still, Trump warned that the strike was only the beginning. There's more where that came from. No, this is terrifying. I mean, we don't know who was on that.
Extrajudicial killing.
They could be tourists. I mean, they could be anybody.
It's extrajudicial killing.
And even if they were cartel guys, so you're the U.S. military, arrest them, grab them, send them to the Hague. You know?
Well, the thing is,
Prove
I don't know
case.
the
Don't
exact.
just blow people up randomly.
I don't know the exact coordinates of where in the Caribbean this happened, but I wonder if that's even like U.S.
It's between Venezuela and
territory.
Trinidad. Trinidad is in the southern
So
Caribbean,
this is
very close to Venezuela. So it's between.
So this wasn't even our territorial waters?
No, this is the southern Caribbean. This is like off the coast of South America.
What the fuck are we doing?
Nowhere near
bombing
Florida
shit?
or anywhere near the Gulf of Mexico.
So
Gulf
what the
of America.
fuck are we doing bombing random boats that are not even in our territory? Like, how is that even our jurisdiction? I don't know anything about maritime law, but I feel like you're supposed to be at least, like, our economic zone is like I think it's 2 nautical miles or whatever off our shore is officially our economic zone.
Well, it's not just economic. It's our territory. You get
into
international waters beyond that. Those are international waters.
So if it's international waters,
maritime law
can you,
is what applies here.
How can you just fucking bomb a vessel?
Well, I mean, just because might makes right, and who's going to fucking stop us? But it's like, but it's not. There's no legal or moral basis for it at all. I mean, even if he was able to go on television and prove beyond a shadow of doubt that these are drug dealers, there'd still be no justification for this whatsoever. But you know, he hasn't even done that. There's no part of what is so shocking about this is that there's not even any, you know, this is intentional, right? Like, basically, we can do what we want, and we don't even have to explain ourselves. This is about setting precedent for future activities like this.
For sure. It's crazy. I know, I get what he's trying to do. I
was terrified when I watched this video. I was like,
oh yeah,
this
I saw it
fucker
yesterday.
He can do anything.
Like, this is, what kind of crazy hair trigger? Like, I mean, it's one thing to angrily tweet about not being invited to a military parade. But then the next thing you go and do after you angrily tweet about that is like, but haha, I just took out some narco sailors in the middle of the Caribbean. Like, what? Just I don't know what else to say anymore about like how wild this administration is. Like, I know a lot of the Trumpies are big fans of him being this very brazen cowboy, very cavalier, you know, about a very cavalier attitude about international law. But
he's their guy. If Biden had done the same thing, they'd freak out. And unfortunately, that's just sort of and it's the other way around. If Biden had done it, the Democrats would all say how great it was. I mean, that's the world we live in, and it really sucks. I mean, basically, no one has any principles. If you have principles, then your principles trump your ideology, and they trump your team affiliation. If you have like, I don't care if President Bernie Sanders did this.
I would say call it out.
It's fucking wrong, and like
it's wrong and scary that you are shirking international laws that we have long established. I'm no maritime expert, but I feel like you would at least have a leg to stand on if it was somewhere in the space between Cuba and Florida and you did this. Like, okay, like I might get your excuse to say they were en route this way, they were just in between Cuba and Florida and we got them. I'd still not be a fan of it, but I would understand, like, you would have a leg to stand on with that. But this, like, dude, you're bombing a random boat near Trinidad? Like, it's not even close to us. It's closer to Venezuela itself. Like, what on earth? So does this mean we're just going to go around, like, maritime bombing everybody? Because who's going to stop us? Like, is that, like, if we see migrants floating over here from Cuba, can we bomb them too? Should we? Mm-hmm. Robbie's saying yes. Thumbs up. Of course. So we see migrants coming, I don't know, from wherever, headed vaguely towards North America. We should just bomb them.
So according to international law, this killing would be defensible if there was an imminent threat, and then this would be called self-defense. But
what's the
obviously,
imminent threat?
there's no imminent threat of anything because this boat was hundreds of miles away from the United States.
Ted, if this was even remotely like if there was any proof that there was like drugs in there, couldn't this be more of like a Miami Vice blow up moment where you blow up the little vessel like with a smaller munition and then you see white powder poof up in the air? It's like, oh, all that cocaine floating into the ocean. But we didn't see that. So we don't know if they even really were drug dealers.
The trick here is that the definition to reclassify a group like this as like Tren de Aragua, as terrorists. That's what they're trying to do. Reminds me a lot of what the Bush administration
Trump did that with the Mexican cartels too.
With the Trump administration inventing non-existent categories like enemy combatants that don't exist in law. And just sort of saying, oh, they don't have rights because they're enemy combatants. And you just say that over and over again, and people don't know any better.
Right.
And that's kind of like what they did here. I mean, look, the thing is, a terrorist organization has a very specific meaning, and Tren de Aragua is a gang. It's not a terrorist organization. A terrorist organization is out to uses violence in order to try to affect political change. That's what they do, right? Al Qaeda. Tried to, change U.S. foreign policy by attacking the United States. Those are terrorists. That's just not what's going on here. So, it's very disturbing.
Yeah, this is not cool. All right, so let's go on to story number 3. Speaking of drugs, Ted. Speaking of drugs, a new study suggests that just one single dose of psilocybin, the active compound in magic mushrooms, can rewire brain circuits in ways that may explain its potential to treat depression, anxiety, and other mental health conditions. Researchers at Cornell University injected mice with psilocybin and then used a modified rabies virus to trace how neurons formed new connections. Compared to mice...
Quick interruption. Got to do an ad. Sorry. Here we go. Quick
pause. You should pause me before we move on.
Sorry. Quick pause to tell you about Pickaxe, the creator and user-first platform built for people, not algorithms. You know what big tech is up to: data mining, bot-driven feeds, black box AI deciding who sees your work. Instead, Pickaxe hands you an algorithm-free chronological feed with native Rumble playback, auto-publishing of your live streams, free blue check verification, and full monetization. Control your voice, your rules. Best of all, the web version is live right now, and their iOS and Android apps drop next month. On Pickaxe, your Rumble videos play seamlessly right in your feed as if they were built into the platform. No embeds, no workarounds. It's just smooth native playback. Even better, in beta now, creators can connect their Rumble channel to Pickaxe to automatically post live streams and videos so your followers never miss a moment. You can also write full articles directly on Pickaxe today. And later this year, you'll be able to blast them out as email newsletters with one click and build up your own email list for direct audience access. Monetize on your terms through paywalls, revenue sharing, or affiliate ads that auto-insert promo codes and tracking links. And because bots shouldn't steal your spotlight, Pickaxe hands you a free blue check so everyone knows it's really you. Pickaxe is building tech that builds up humanity, algorithm-free, noise-free, human-first. Head to pickaxe.com, sign up, and take your platform to the next level. Real voices deserve a real home, as you were.
And producer Robbie has a channel there. What's it called, Robbie? Is it Putinbot?
Yeah, Putinbot Gaming. That's me.
On Pickaxe. And you can write and put up, Robbie's been writing and putting stuff up there. So you can go check it out. Okay, so the psilocybin. Okay, so a new study suggests that just one dose of psilocybin, the active compound found in magic mushrooms, can rewire brain circuits in ways that may explain its potential to treat depression, anxiety, and other mental health conditions. Researchers at Cornell University injected mice with psilocybin and then used a modified rabies virus to trace how neurons formed new connections. Compared to mice given a placebo, those exposed to psilocybin showed stronger links between the retrosplenial cortex, tied to imagination and memory, and the prefrontal cortex, which governs planning and social behavior. At the same time, psilocybin appeared to weaken repetitive brain loops often linked to cycles of rumination and negative thought patterns. Experts say this remodeling of brain networks could underlie psilocybin's therapeutic effects. Michael Wheeler of Brigham and Women's Hospital noted the findings highlight, quote, circuits underlying connections between associative areas that may be key to understanding how psychedelics actually work. Somebody called Eero Kestren of the University of Helsinki added that psilocybin doesn't dictate the changes directly, but enables brain plasticity with strengthened or weakened circuits depending on what the subject is doing or sensing at that time. The work also raises the possibility of combining psychedelics with neuromodulation techniques to target specific circuits, offering a tailored approach to mental health treatment. It may also help explain the so-called set and setting phenomenon, which that's where mindset and environmental influence whether a psychedelic trip feels positive or negative. So, Ted, I don't know about you. Have you ever shroomed? I have.
I have not shroomed. I am a shroomless person.
You're shroomless? I have shroomed the one time, and I said never again. Of course, this is in my college days. It's where you're supposed to do this stuff, right? And it, for me, was a horrible experience. And I guess that last part of the article speaks to me because the set and setting phenomenon, which they're talking about here, whether that psychedelic trip is a positive or negative one. For me, it was a very negative event. I was in some nature reserve, and when the shrooms kicked in, I was like hugging face down on a giant boulder, and I was resting on it and enjoying the cool feeling of the stone on my cheek and just being in nature. Then I'd roll over, look at the stars, and I'd again roll over. I'm hugging the rock, a giant boulder. I mean, we're talking like the size of a Honda Civic, like a giant boulder. And as I rested there peacefully, I was having a good trip. I thought, hey, this is kind of cool. And then suddenly the rock started breathing. And I felt, I mean, it was like, I felt like I could hear it. It didn't talk to me, but I felt like it started breathing. And then I freaked out and I started screaming and I rolled off of it, fell face first into mud. And then I started running back down to the apartments where we were staying. And as I was getting there, like when I drew closer to the apartment door, I started stripping off the clothes because then I was convinced that there were bugs all over me that were crawling on me. And then I got into under the sheets because where else would I go? I hid under the sheets, and then I swore I saw, it was like arachnophobia, and all the spiders came down inside the sheets, and it was a horrible.
Were these shrooms? I mean, seriously. I mean, that doesn't sound like a typical shroom experience. Do you think it was laced with something else?
I don't know. How would I know?
I don't know. Did you buy it from a dispensary in Denver,
or
did you buy it from a dude?
No, it was a dude at a college university campus. Like, okay, so I didn't even buy it. It was.
I think it was. We should ask our druggy listeners to chime in on this, but I think this is a. I assume most people who watch the TMI show are stoned at least, but it's a morning show, wake and bake. But
yes,
but why?
I'll tell you
that seriously, why?
It was a psychedelic though. Is my whole point is I don't know exactly what it was matched with.
I'm not.
Other people were fine. Other people had it. My friends had it and they were fine. They said that they saw. I had friends that were saying when they couldn't find me, obviously they realized when they saw a trail of a sock here and then a shoe there, and they realized I came back to the apartment. And later, the next day, when it finally, we shook it off, my friends were telling me that they had experiences of like going through a door into another portal, and like these really cool transcendent vibes. And for me, it was sheer utter terror. And I had to remind myself that I was shrooming, that I was high. And I had to tell myself, because I mean, I've heard of people going nuts from like acid and bad shrooms. And I've known one person at least that got locked away in the loony bin for a while. But I had to remind myself, like, this is the trip. This is a trip. It'll get out of your system. Like, it's terrifying right now, but this is a trip. This is a trip. It will wear off. Like, it's not happening. It's not happening. And but when we sobered up, I had other friends telling me how it was like this amazing transcendent experience. And for me, it shut the door forever to ever want to try anything like that. And just like what the article says here, where it says it's the set and the setting phenomenon. So for whatever reason, the setting for me wasn't, I guess, controlled enough. And I know I've read other like Gabor Mate. He's, Professor Dr. Gabor Mate, Aaron Mate's dad, has been doing a lot of studies with controlled uses of psilocybin, specifically for this, but it's a controlled setting, and people come out totally different. So, for me, maybe it wasn't the right thing for me, but I also don't have these problems.
Maybe it wasn't the right thing for you.
I also don't have these problems, right?
You should never do this again, ever.
I would never, because of that. I was probably 19 years old, maybe 20 at the most, but 19 at least. And it put me off forever. But I also I'm not one of the people out there that has like these other psychological issues that they say stuff like psilocybin is good for, like anxiety and things like. I don't suffer from those. So maybe it works better for people that are, that have these mental health challenges, which I don't suffer from. So maybe that's why those other kids that did it, maybe it was, beneficial for them and not for me, because my brain is wired differently. So it had a negative adverse effect.
Well, I think more studies need to be done. I mean, some people do recommend, definitely have had positive results from microdosing and buying from a reliable source, which you now can. There are legit dealers and dispensaries that sell it.
Sure.
In New Jersey, New York, Colorado, lots of other places. So it's, we'll follow that. All right. We have one more piece that we should get to, in my opinion. Whatever happened to privacy? That's the question cultural historian Tiffany Jenkins explores in her book, Strangers and Intimates, The Rise and Fall of Private Life. While it would be easy to blame oversharing individuals or greedy tech companies, Jenkins says the erosion of privacy goes much deeper, traces its roots across centuries. The book shows how privacy first flourished in the Enlightenment, when the 18th century introduced a meaningful divide between public and private life. So, for example, in upper class and upper middle class Victorian homes in the early 1800s in England, that was the first time that the idea that kids should have their own bedrooms was introduced. The families always slept together.
That's right.
Jenkins suggests this development may have been the Enlightenment's most transformative legacy, allowing people to cultivate separate, essential sides of their character. She then follows privacy's arc through the 20th century, where it faced both growth and decline. From the intrusive Kodak fiends of the early 1900s to the way that Bill Clinton's scandal with Monica made the intimate fiercely political, Jenkins documents privacy's fragile state, right? Compare what happened with Monica Gate to JFK's dalliances or FDR's dalliances or Ike's dalliances that, the press just, turned a blind eye to. She examines how activists like Students for a Democratic Society wanted personal freedom but undermined it, and how scientific pioneers like Kinsey and marketing experts Edward Bernays and Ernest Dickler helped turn human behavior into data, paving the way for today's surveillance-driven economies like, Facebook and so on. The book also highlights moments of resilience, including the landmark legal cases such as Griswold versus Connecticut, 1965, and Katz versus U.S., 1967, which established protections against government overreach. Yet overall, Jenkins concludes privacy has gone down, particularly as the internet blurred boundaries between public and private life, and people are, posting pictures of their kids and their vacations and what they're eating and whatever on the internet, and then that's getting monetized by these companies. Jenkins ultimately reminds us of what's at stake. Privacy nurtures originality, independence, and imagination. By tracing its rise and slow unraveling, Strangers and Intimates reframes our understanding of both history and the highly exposed digital world we live in today. Now, this is an interesting question, right? I mean, is it really true? If it's true that privacy nurtures originality, independence, and imagination, it's certainly not true that we didn't have those things before the 1800s, right? I mean, those things all existed before then. 2,000 years ago, tell me the Romans and the Greeks didn't have originality and independence and imagination.
Aren't you supporting what she's saying, though?
Well, I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. How important is privacy? If privacy is a relatively recent innovation in Western culture, we're talking about Western culture. Eastern culture doesn't value privacy in the same way. Then, does it really matter? I mean, it's like something that pops up 250 years ago at most. And so, it was a flash in the pan. It burned out. Maybe we're just getting back to the essentially non-private way that human beings lived for 99% of their existence.
Well, I viewed it. I mean, granted, neither of us.
I like my privacy, but I'm trying to be objective here.
Well, I guess we can't know exactly what she's aiming for because neither of us have read the book yet. But when I just reading that, the synopsis about it, I look at the term privacy, and for me, it's not. I guess the way you're seeing it is, I'm viewing it from the lens of privacy outside of I guess in today's context, social media's eyes, which is everybody else's eyes.
You mean in the public space as opposed to in the family space, for example. So if you live like the Waltons, 3-4 generations in one house, you don't have a lot of privacy from your family. If you live in a small little town, like my girlfriend in high school lived in a town of 40 odd people, where they didn't even have doors. They didn't even have little village. They didn't have street names or house numbers. Basically the mailman knew where you lived. If you sent a letter to Manila Chan, Florida, Ohio, you'd get the letter. The thing is, she didn't have much privacy either, but but the point is certainly, the way that our lives are exposed, for example, through NSA surveillance as revealed by Snowden and stuff like that, we know that's a different thing.
I also view privacy
but people are also selling it, literally OnlyFans.
It's commoditized for
exploitation.
Obviously,
yourself.
Yeah. Obviously, we talked about that. But when I consider having privacy, even, for example, if people, your ultimate privacy used to be when nature calls and you shut the bathroom door, right? Mm-hmm. And now people aren't even you're not sitting there with your Nat Geo magazine, right? Like it was 1988, right? You're now on your phone, you're texting, that's not privacy. I don't do that. I view privacy as time of solitude. I guess that's how I would define privacy. So I have moments of solitude all the time. Now that the kids
I just want to be clear here. So if you're on the bowl with the door closed, but you're texting someone, you're saying you're not involved in, how's your privacy compromised in any way?
Because you're reaching, I equate privacy with solitude. That's what I'm saying. So if you're reaching out to the outside world,
they're not the same thing at all. I mean, you could be.
Why wouldn't they be the same?
Okay, I'll give you a great example. A prisoner in a holding cell with a camera watching him 24/7 does not enjoy any.
That may not
certainly alone, but is not enjoying any privacy whatsoever.
But they can be. But it can be. Solitude and privacy can be one and the same. And to me,
they can live together, but they're not the same. That's I can eat a banana while I'm being tortured, but it doesn't mean that torture and bananas have anything to do with each other.
For me, I'm saying when I'm having private time, let's say toilet time, I'm also not texting because I just find that weird. But
Okay,
it's
but
my
the point is that your
private
privacy
time.
isn't. That's just okay. You're
and
talking about.
I'm not live streaming it. So it's
Okay,
all
so
those
if
things.
you were live streaming your toilet
all
time,
of those things,
assuming there
but
was
all of those things,
then that
and
would be
when
different.
I'm just taking a moment when the kiddo is at school
So
or
let's
at
say you're in the
whatever
middle of Times
activity.
Square and you decide to like, text
I
someone.
don't think there's privacy there. I don't think because
But
you have
you're
eyes all over you.
okay. But
You're Times Square.
Well, let's say you're in Times Square and you're not texting. Let's say you left your phone at home.
But I'm saying you can't have privacy because even if you're by yourself, not talking to anybody, standing in the middle of Times Square, there's eyes and cameras all over you. But there is privacy.
Privacy is about like your ability to control who has access to you, talk, your voice, your image, your body. That's what privacy is. Privacy is about the right to be left alone. And I don't mean lonely, but to be left.
That's what I'm saying.
Left
You
unmolested,
can be alone,
unseen.
Right. So when I'm alone and not reaching out to anybody, nobody's calling me, nobody's texting me, I'm not tweeting, I'm not live streaming, I'm alone with my thoughts in my home studio / office, like that is privacy. And I think I don't know because I haven't read the book, but I think it's an interesting perspective that the author is saying that perhaps we need more of that in order to survive as a civilization, because the commodification of what would be our otherwise private moments is like deteriorating our society. That's my impression anyway. And I read a summary of her book too. And I thought that's interesting because you look at how shitty our culture, American culture, I don't know about everybody else's and how social media is impacting theirs, but I can't imagine it's very different. But the fact that we're always constantly live streaming as a culture and how shitty we've become culturally, like we pretend to be sympathetic or whatever, but when somebody is, let's say, getting beat up on the subway,
we're
videotaping it
and not
hopping in to save the person.
Of the expectation of privacy in a public space. The guy from the AI company, what was it called, Astronomer or something like that. The guy who was the Jumbotron guy who was having an affair.
The Kiss Cam.
With the Kiss Cam, I forget which bands they went to see.
Coldplay.
Yeah. So the couple exposed at the Coldplay concert, they had a reasonable expectation of privacy that was then blown up when they suddenly unexpectedly landed on the Jumbotron, and so even though they were in a public space, their affair only became public because it was exposed. And then further to that, internet sleuths tried to figured out who they were and decided to reach out and notify their romantic partners,
their spouses.
So there were at least 3 different. I think she was unmarried. I think there are.
No, it turns out she was married and just bought a new home with her new husband.
Oh, okay. So there's
at
least three breaches of privacy here, right? It's like you go to a concert, you don't think anyone's, you're just going to a concert. You don't think unless you happen to run into someone, the odds are nobody knows you, right? So
you're saying that's privacy, even though you're at the middle of a Coldplay concert with
that wouldn't have happened.
Thousands of other people.
That wouldn't have, you could have gone to a Who concert in 1982. That would not have happened. Okay, even though there's a Jumbotron, there was no camera that zoomed in on people, right? So you could go to Shea Stadium, now Citi Field, and see a concert with 70,000 people. That would not have happened. And if it had happened, because there's some technology that had been invented, there's no internet for people to disseminate that information with, and there's no internet that would have allowed you to reach out to their romantic partners. Or
so you're saying there's still a chance, like you would have theoretically said that is still a private moment shared between a couple having an affair, had the internet sleuths not figured out who these faces were by using like face scan or something.
clearly, right? I mean, so
That's not privacy. I don't think that was.
Well,
privacy.
there's no privacy. There's no privacy in a public space.
Well,
I mean,
no, and that's why you can photograph anyone in the street without their permission.
Right.
The Supreme Court has ruled on that.
Yes, I mean, if I go to a concert and I start swap and spit with someone who's not my spouse.
But I'm not talking about legally. I'm talking about like sort of. But let's just say, 1,000 years ago, if you went to, I don't know, if you and you were having an affair, and you went to walked to another town and went to the bazaar, and you went to the market and saw a lute concert, you are not. There's unless one of your neighbors is there, no one's ever gonna fucking know. Right.
Well, you're going to hope so, because if 1,000 years ago, if you lived in a Islamic society or a Jewish society or a Christian society, you'd be executed for committing adultery.
Correct.
So you would be a lot more careful about playing tonsil tennis out in public.
Well, when I was a kid, like when my neighbors were having affairs and stuff, they would go to the no-tell motel and park in the back so that you couldn't see their car from the road as you drove by, and pretty much that was pretty safe.
Yeah. Well, it's just
so is the privacy. I think what the author is trying to argue is that more privacy is better and is needed in society.
It's not going to happen. It's just, I've said this on this show, and I stand by it. There's going to come a day, I don't know when, but it's going to happen. I have no doubt that I will be doxxed because of the opinions that I have here on this show. Someone will reach out to my employer. I will get called into HR yet again because the first 2 sessions of sensitivity training obviously have not worked, and they're going to say it's time for us to part ways because you're.
I'll vouch for your sensitivity.
Because it's going to happen, and the reason why is because I'm currently here in my apartment. I have zero expectation of privacy because somewhere some fucker, some fascist cuck is going to get me fired one day. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I have no doubt that it will.
Well,
because
also you have a diminished expectation of privacy by broadcasting your face, of course, and your opinions in a public sphere like the internet, which you're doing right now.
Yeah, exactly. So if I go to a concert where they're live streaming the concert, they got cameras everywhere. It's the same thing. If someone thinks truly that you're anonymous whenever you go out in public, you're not. The fact of the matter is you're not anonymous in your house. No, John Kiriakou can vouch for this. I'm sure. Edward Snowden, he reported on it. Said that the NSA can turn on your webcam and stuff inside your home without a warrant.
Yeah, Snowden said that, like, at the agency, they would turn on people's cameras and watch them having sex and laugh about it. Yeah, and they would pass the videos around.
Yes, there is no privacy in this country. I mean, we would make the East Germans the Stasi would love to have the society we have right now.
True.
Yes.
Now, about the Japanese.
There is no privacy. I mean, I guess what Manila is trying to say and what the book is trying to say is that that's a bad thing.
Yeah, that's why we're shitty.
Well, of course,
we're a bunch of shit asses because we don't know how to have privacy anymore.
You could also argue, I think it's complicated. You could also argue that privacy can be abused, and that, like, if people are policing each other, they're stopping bad behavior. I mean, for example, the golden age of serial killers and kidnappers ended with the rise of security cameras all over the place, right?
Right.
You can't really get
away
with that shit anymore.
Serial killing in America.
Yeah, it's like the whole serial killing economy has collapsed. It's like rope sales, duct tape sales, way down, cars with big trunks,
cinder blocks, all that.
If that is your thing,
tarp sales are down.
If that is your thing, pay in cash so that way you can't be traced.
Mm-hmm.
And not all in one go.
And also, do not check out library books because the government actually checks to see what books you check out and what you read.
That's true. That's how we found out about. We know that they did that to Bill Clinton. They found out which books Monica Lewinsky bought from Amazon, from Barnes and Noble, and stuff like that. Yeah,
I didn't hear about that.
The U.S. government, as part of the Patriot Act, if I remember correctly, they have the right. If you go to a library, the government can check to see what books it is that you have ever checked out. The government.
What did Monica check out?
Buy your books from a used bookstore in cash.
In cash.
Mm-hmm.
What did Monica check out, and why did they?
Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman.
Why? But why was that pertinent?
Well, then she bought a copy and then
investigation?
she gave it to Bill. It's lovey-dovey.
Yeah.
That's this personally. I mean, I think I'm more of a fan of privacy, which is why I don't post a whole lot on social media. I only posted a little bit to share with my family, when I had a baby and all that stuff, because my family's on the other side of the country and on the other side of the world.
Honestly, you didn't have to do that, right? I mean, you could have emailed or texted those same photos to those same family members.
But then you got to
just as easily.
You got to email 30 different people.
I think it's fucking creepy as shit to fucking put your kids' photos on the internet.
I agree. I don't like creating him a footprint, a social media footprint, and have Mark Zuckerberg know exactly what he looks like from birth to grave, right? Like I don't want that. I think it's creepy that Mark Zuckerberg has seen me from, college to middle age. Like I think that's creepy. Like,
and the NSA has seen you naked, as we've just established.
I've always covered the cameras.
One of the biggest
Even on
ways.
the smart TV, everything.
By the way, Silicon Valley people all do. They all have tape over their cameras.
Yeah, I don't.
If you walk into any Silicon Valley tech person's home, they have tape on their computer camera. Also, your TV, your home TV takes pictures.
Yeah,
of you too.
I tape. I put tape. I put black gaff tape on everything.
And
I unplug microphones.
And you notice it, I'm sure on your phone, right? Like, for example, let's just say you're like, oh, I'm going to do a search on Tren de Aragua. And then it's not, then you may very well see an ad in your email for travel to beautiful Venezuela. And you're like,
we have got so many ads now for cats. I cannot tell you. It's
we
insane.
Have cat ads? Do we have another?
No, I get cat ads because we have a cat.
Your family. I thought you meant this show. I was like, really? Because Fernie was put on the screen and Clovis is put on the screen. So now they're trying to advertise.
Yeah, Fernie's sitting right here. I mean, she's looking at me.
No, it's true. I get when I take a picture of Clovis with my phone, I will quickly get ads for cat-related products.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like Jeff Bezos has been sued, I don't know how many times now, because his creepy ass what's her not Syria's iPhone. What's Amazon? No. Amazon has what's her name? Siri is Apple.
But Amazon has
Alexa. That's it. Alexa's ass has been sued a number of times now because Alexa has, to her credit, and I'm the personification of Alexa here. To her credit, she's actually helped solve a couple domestic violence murders, but she's also been sued for listening when she's not supposed to be, when they weren't engaging with her. So users have successfully sued Jeff Bezos for having Alexa constantly recording in the background. So
my son wanted one of those things. I ixnayed that shit. I was like, no.
Yeah. Well, Ted, you've been to my house. You know we've got a couple of them.
Yep.
You have Alexa everywhere?
Oh yeah, Kizzy loves them.
She's listening all day.
Your phone is listening anyway.
That's true.
I know that. That's
honestly,
why I don't need any more devices listening to me.
But all you need is one. I mean, that's the whole thing. And
I'm a weirdo that often puts my phone in one of those RFID, what do they call them? It's a special bag, so that way it doesn't transmit or pick up anything, because I'm a weirdo about
you
privacy.
Could just put it in your microwave oven too. That's it's called a Faraday cage, I think.
Yeah,
Faraday bag. That's what it is.
One of the big places that I part company with Republicans is, I advocate the abolition of the FBI, the dismantling, the destroy the entire intelligence apparatus.
is a Gestapo. It is a domestic federal police force.
But
literally, what the Gestapo was.
But then what you'll have is you'll have conservative Republicans. I use the word conservative loosely. Say, well, then who's going to protect us from the bad people? It's like the people who you are advocating.
It's like you are the bad people.
They are the bad people.
Bad guys.
Yeah, you're the bad
people. They are the bad guys.
I'm worried about y'all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I get
they're the ones planning
I'm not worried about the guys who just blew up on
Whitmer.
the boat, even if they were bringing fentanyl to Trinidad, and I don't really care if they were.
It was the FBI that was planning the kidnap of Gretchen Whitmer, not some halfwit that lived in the basement of a Mexican restaurant. Like,
well, no one was planning that. No one was really planning that.
And for me, the most precious thing, and I know we're going to go over some shut up after I say this, but whenever people argue for abortion, saying, well, it's covered under privacy rights. It's like, no, it's not. If I don't have the right,
that was the reasoning for Roe v. Wade. Yeah, it was like basically the idea was, and this was a very poorly reasoned legal opinion, to say the least. The idea was that there's an innate privacy right in the U.S. Constitution, and frankly, maybe there ought to be a constitutional amendment that enshrines privacy rights, but there's no innate privacy right in the Constitution. No. I mean, you have to jump through so many hoops to get there. It's ridiculous. And then, based on that innate privacy right, a woman has the right to control her body. I don't see how you get from there to there. And based on that, she can decide to abort her unborn child. So, I mean, look, I think women should be able to have an abortion, but I think we should, if we're going to do that as a country, we should probably just have Congress pass a law like a normal country would.
Yeah, because one of the arguments I have is, well, then by your definition, if I bring someone into my home and I kill that person, as I have a right to privacy in my home, then I mean that's the argument, right?
Oh well, no, you have to kill him in the bathroom, the most private part of the home. That's the law.
But that's the argument though that these people try to make, and that's one of the things about
that's a dumb fucking argument.
It's insane, and one of the things that I despise about Republicans is that people don't understand there's nothing left to conserve. If you want to have a small government, then you have to destroy what we currently have and start over. You got to do a hard reset. And until Republicans figure that out. We're on the
same page there.
Well, by definition, you can't fix what this is. You can't negotiate with the tumor. You have to cut it out.
It's inherently, it's not reformable.
That's what I did.
Yeah, a year ago today.
Literally a year ago. A year ago today. So anyway, we'll leave that there.
All right. That's a good
see, obviously, I'm not afraid of privacy on that.
See, that's the thing. Okay, what's really funny to me is the argument. So, when the LA Times smeared me, one of their defenses was, well, Ted Rall says all sorts of controversial things. So, and some of those things cause people to hate him. Therefore, if we libel him, it's no big deal. And it's like, okay, but I have the right to libel myself. You don't have the right to libel me. In the same way that if you hold me down and tattoo me, I'm going to have you arrested. But if I go to the tattoo parlor and pay good money to have my entire body covered, that's up to me. Privacy's the same way. You can be a porn actor and show every part of your sphincter to the world for money or for free, but that's your choice. But if I'm a peeping Tom and I look through your window, I'm violating your privacy. It's yours to control. I don't think people understand that. It's like, well, privacy is gone. Well, but it shouldn't be.
Sphincter privacy. We'll leave that there.
On that note, Rumble has given us another ad. Since I'm on the screen, I'm just going to pop it up and read it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, y'all have to deal with the Southern drawl. Just deal with it.
All right. I'll look at my phone for 6 minutes.
That'll work. You've probably noticed Rumble is growing fast and it's not slowing down. They're building a real alternative to big tech that puts creators first and actively protects free speech. And now there's Rumble Premium, an easy way to upgrade your experience. With Premium, you get ad-free viewing across the platform, no pre-rolls, no interruptions, just the content you came for. Plus, Premium members unlock exclusive content like bonus videos, behind-the-scenes drops, and more from your favorite creators. Right now, Rumble's offering $10 off an annual subscription. Just go to rumble.com/premium and use the promo code STUDIO at checkout. That's rumble.com/premium promo code studio. No ads, more freedom, and content you actually care about. That's the deal. And one quick thing about premium, I will be dropping a Rumble premium episode for the TMI show later today. If you want to see it, you got to be a member of either a channel subscriber here on the TMI show or be a premium subscriber on Rumble.
Oh, that's right. Because they have changed the rules that if you subscribe just to the TMI show or as more broadly a Rumble premium subscriber, then you can view those videos. And today's video is going to be a fun conversation about independent filmmaking with a filmmaker out there in New York. Ted, you're going to his launch party pretty soon. You're invited.
You'll have to remind me about when that is. I'll go.
Oh my God, Ted!
Well, I don't know.
I've told you to mark your calendar.
Well, since you just spy into it and tell me.
Well, Ted's in love with Montana. If it was here in Montana, he'd come back because he fell in love with the place.
Yeah, this is I think, I don't know, somewhere out in Brooklyn or something. No, somewhere in the city, not in Brooklyn, like somewhere in the city, not Brooklyn.
All right.
Anyway, so check that out if you guys can. Thank you for tuning in this Wednesday. Have a great happy hump day. We'll be back tomorrow, Thursday. I'm not. It'll be the two boys. I've got a doctor's appointment. So these two boys will hold down the fort, and I don't know what they're going to talk about, but I have nothing to do with tomorrow.
You the entire time.
So if you guys are angry about whatever these two guys say that piss you off, don't inbox me. Inbox them.
Inbox.
I would never piss anybody off, Manila. I have no controversial opinions.
That's true.
Especially about immigration.
No. Of course not. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you. I'll see you back Friday.
Or your favorite trans people.
Yeah. Never.
Trans immigrants.
Adios, amigos.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.